Hi, this is Black and Indigenous American, and this video is in regards to my opinion with that documentary called Dark Girls on the OWN network. Okay, I just finished watching it, and I mentioned this in other videos, but I'm just going to reiterate. My daddy siblings, like all of his siblings, including himself, were all different complexions. They all had the same parents, so very mixed family. From the darkest of the dark to the lightest of the light. And my daddy's skin complexion was more on the reddish tone, like reddish undertone. Him and I kind of have the same complexion. And within the family, you get a lot of taunts. I don't think my daddy necessarily got a lot of jabs, because he had also a curly, soft texture hair. So with his hair texture and his skin tone not being too light, not being too dark, and he was a baby of the family, he was the last one out of the whole, litter. He didn't get a lot of that. But my uncle, my daddy's brother, he definitely was the darkest out of all of them, and he got a lot of taunts from his siblings. Obviously they love him. There was love in the family, but they would poke fun at him. And one of my aunts, my Aunt Jessie, she was like, "Oh, how does it feel to be the darkest one?" Or, "Tell me how does it feel to be a black person? Because I don't know." It was again, we talk about the same bloodline. Everybody just looks different hair texture, different hair different hair texture, different hair different hair texture, different skin tone. Sorry about that. And they all look alike, but it was just variations. And even though he knew that he was loved, but to this day it still is an issue for my uncle. And in particular, he wears foundation that makes him look lighter. And all them years, me growing up, and we have family functions, and all of my uncles and aunts would come home, and cousins. And Daddy told me maybe like 15, 20 years ago, he was like, "Yeah, that's not your uncle's real complexion. He's much darker." I'm like, "What? Huh?" He's like, "Yeah, he wears foundation. He puts it on his hands and on his face, on his neck or whatever. Wherever his skin is exposed, he'll put foundation to make himself look lighter." And this is the same uncle who has the straightest hair texture. Like, his hair is so straight that you would think that he was from Malaysia or something. Like, seriously, he could really blend in with them folks. But he had the darkest skin complexion. And then my aunt, who had the lightest skin complexion, very, very, very fair skin, she had the kinkiest hair. So I don't think she got a lot of poking fun with her hair texture as much as the skin tone with my uncle. But yeah, it happened. And so as far as my experience coming up, I did have issues with my complexion because I was the darkest. And my uncle, who married into the family, he married my aunt, one of my aunts. He passed away maybe 2 years ago. And I hate to say this, but he is the only somebody who made me feel beautiful coming up as a child. I mean, he made me feel like I was a princess. Not my parents, not my other siblings, not my other relatives and aunts and uncles or whatever, but my uncle who married into the family. He said the first time he saw me, he was like, finally, a brown skinned baby. Because all the other babies were, born very fair skinned. And so when he first saw me, he picked me up. And from then on out, I was his baby. And I remember when I was old enough to, know how to talk and go to the bathroom and stuff. Like around 4 or 5 years old, I used to go spend summers with my aunt and my uncle. The uncle that I said married into the family. And I used to have a ball. I remember he used to spoil me, and we used to go to the movies and get photo cakes and cotton candy. It was like anything and everything I wanted. Like, he didn't care if I had chores. He was, oh, don't worry about the chores. This is when I got up older. I guess maybe like 10 or 11 years old. I had chores, my aunt, my daddy's sister, Miss Hateful. She's come around over the years, but she was something else. She had a whole list of chores for me to do, and he was, oh, don't worry about that, baby. We're going to go to the mall, and we're going to have a good time. You do that later. And I just remember having so much fun. And long story short, my uncle, who married into the family, who, like I said, passed away a couple of years ago, he was a dark-skinned man. And it's funny because my aunt, which is his wife, she always got something to say about somebody's skin color because she's on a fair skin or whatever. But her husband is really, really dark skinned. So the point is, he was the only person that made me feel beautiful and comfortable with my own skin. And I remember I used to love going outside. But there was the sun. And my skin, if the sun kisses my skin, it could be 10 minutes. I'm like 2 shades darker. And I just remember in the summertime, my mother, she really didn't care how long I stayed outside. My mother never said anything negative about my skin complexion. I mean, I'm darker than her anyway. But when I got really, really dark over the summers, she didn't really say anything. She didn't try to keep me from outside or nothing. She was like, go outside and play. Come back, for lunch and come back before the lights come on, the street lights come on. So I would be outside all the time. And once I got older, like I would say maybe around 10, 11 years old, I went to camp, summer camp for 2 weeks. I was hanging out with the white kids. White people, they love to swim and love to be outside. It don't matter. It could be 110 degrees. They want to be out there. And I'm just hanging with them, swimming like twice a day, every day for 2 weeks. And I come back. And mind you, I was raised thinking that, if you have darker skin, you don't need sunblock. And I remember my mother had put a kitty perm in my hair right before I went to camp. And mind you, I swam twice a day for 2 weeks. And a 10-year-old does not know how to take care of her hair, okay? My hair was, let's just say, a reddish tint. And it felt like sandpaper. So you get what I'm trying to say. My skin came back. It wasn't like a chocolate brown, dark chocolate brown. No, it was very ashy, and it just didn't look natural. I looked like somebody painted my face. And I hate to say that, and I don't mean to offend anybody that's really dark skinned, but that complexion did not look healthy, and that complexion on me looked like I was painted. And I literally came home right before a family reunion. And I remember I walked straight towards my daddy, and no lie, he walked right past me. He did not even recognize me. And I was like, Dad! And he looked down at me, He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, baby. I didn't recognize you. You done got black." And so that whole family reunion, my relatives were joning on me, meaning they were having a lot of laughs because my skin had got so dark. Like I was like the butt of all the jokes. And as a young girl, that really bothered me. So, and then throughout that same family reunion, one of my distant cousins. Okay, you have my grandfather and his brother. So his brother children came to a family reunion. It was the first time a lot of us saw them. And I think this might have been like my second or third cousin. Well, she's lighter than me, long hair, wavy hair, or whatever. And she married, I believe she married a Haitian guy or something. Some guy from the West Indies, very, very dark. Literally, he looked like Shabba Ranks, okay? And they had a son. And the son looked exactly like the father. Oh, you should have heard my daddy's sisters talking trash about this girl. I mean, they were literally offended that how dare she marry that guy. He is so black and ugly, and that son of hers look just like him, just gonna mess up the family line. And and here I am, I got the tan. I can't just let it fade away. I mean, I can let it fade away, but though that cousin who married that man and had a child by that man, that skin is not gonna fade away. That skin complexion is not gonna fade away. That's his skin complexion. And long story short, I think the talking and the gossiping got back to that distant cousin. Let's just say she has nothing to do with us anymore. Also, I remember, when time went on, I was conscious, very self-conscious about being outside too long, not wanting to be out in the sun too long, staying indoors, all of that. And I miss just being outside. I miss, just being outside. I missed it because of the sun and me feeling self-conscious about getting too dark. So let's fast forward. Let's fast forward. I moved up north to go to school, and it was the first time I met people who weren't black, who had very dark complexion. And I thought they were the most beautiful people ever that I've ever seen. I was like, oh my goodness, they're so dark skinned and they're so beautiful. Like, wow. Like, definitely had a culture shock there because I was, subtle remarks and also direct remarks from family members, not just people outside my family, but within my family that, didn't speak kindly of darker complexions. And when I saw some of the people in the area I live in from, they ain't even black, I was like, black is beautiful. The complexion, the skin complexion. I'm not talking about the race. I'm just talking about the skin complexion at this point. I was like, black is beautiful. Skin so smooth. And I was like, no blemishes. I'm like, wow. I mean, I was just shocked because I always thought that darker skin did not equate to being beautiful. That's the way, we were taught. And that's how I felt growing up. I didn't feel beautiful. And even before the situation, like when I was around 10 or so, when I got really, really dark that summer, my mother told me, I don't know, she might have told me like 20 years ago-ish, I think. We were just casually talking. And she said when I first was born, my daddy's sisters wouldn't pick me up. They looked at me like I was trash. And they were like, oh, that can't be so-and-so's baby. That baby's too dark. so-and-so, which is my oldest sister, oh, she came out light. But this can't be, my little brother's baby. And my mother, she went off on them. She was like, you treated so-and-so, you spoiled her rotten and da-da-da-da. And then as soon as I have her, which is me, then you act like you can't pick her up. Y'all messed up, da-da-da. She went off. She flipped out on them. Because, again, I'm darker than my mother. I'm darker than my siblings. And, again, my mother never said, oh, you should lighten your skin or you shouldn't be out in the sun. No. She let me go outside as dark as I wanted to get. And then I just remember, like, looking at pictures now. I just remember, seeing, over the years I lightened up a little bit and got lighter because I stayed out of the sun. But I just remember, like, when I didn't care and Mama didn't care, and I stayed outside all day, all day long. And when I say outside all day long, I'm from the South, so a lot of the time I spent outside, I was playing kickball, dodgeball, freeze tag, red light, green light, all day. And then sometimes I'll play, well, I guess I play by myself, or maybe I had a spirit guide with me. But I would be all out in the woods, down in the stream, acting like I'm looking for gold. I had the spaghetti stringer down there in the stream, like shaking to see if I could find some gold. I mean, I had a ball. And to this day, and I know I'm getting off a topic right now, but to this day, I'm very thankful because I'm thinking, like, as an adult now, I'm thinking, like, wow, God definitely spared me from getting hurt. Back then, most parents weren't paranoid about their children being outside all day by themselves. It was like, just come back home for lunch and come back home before the street lights came on. So I could have got bitten by a snake, a spider. I could have fell, hit my head on something, down in the woods. Nobody could find me. But God didn't, God didn't allow that to happen. But I'm thinking about all the stuff that I could have got, like, caught up in. And I've walked up on snakes before, and I never got bitten. I walked right up on snakes before, and that was the country girl in me. I mean, I just loved being outside. And just recently, this past fall, I got back into going outside, so I would start going on nature walks, and I absolutely love going out on nature walks. It's just something about being outside. But anyway, back to the topic. So, as far as the bleaching creams that they were talking about in this documentary, I think bleaching creams are okay if it's specifically for spots, right? Aging spots. You have these dark spots on your eyes, or around your eyes, things like that. But if you just put it all on your face all the time, or on your skin all the time, no. Number one is, in my opinion, self-hate, because you're trying to erase what God created you to be in the first place, okay? And then number two, like one of the guys said, that once you stop using it, it's not a good look, and they show images of some skin that was peeling and scaly looking. It looked just nasty and horrible, okay? So imagine your face looking like that. So, again, bleaching for spots, dark areas around your eyes. You just want your skin complexion to be even. I have no problem with that, okay? Put it all over, and like that one dermatologist said, a couple of people every year ask her, what kind of skin bleaching did Michael Jackson have? And they want to be like him. Yeah, that's called self-hate, people. And then I remember that little girl in the video with her mother. Obviously, her mother's lighter than her, and I'm assuming her brothers are lighter than her. That little girl is just absolutely gorgeous. The prettiest little thing. And this is what I don't like about some of these documentaries. Most of us are taught to act act as if it does not bother us that, you know, something, for instance, this video, skin complexion, doesn't matter. Oh, I love being black and beautiful. I love this, or I love this about myself. But deep down, this is how you feel. And so I feel like with the children, when they actually express their opinions and say exactly how they feel, and they got that shame face like, I shouldn't say it, you know, that's sad too. Because they need to also be able to express themselves. Some people, especially, I would say parents who want to instill that black is beautiful, whatever, they don't want their child to say anything negative about how they look or their skin or their hair or whatever. They want them to feel comfortable in their own space, and they want them to embrace it. But then guess what? We live in this society, and this society tells us, so, you know, subtly or in our face, direct, even within our circles, that we're not good enough. You could tell her, oh, you're so cute, you're so beautiful, da da da. But deep down, she doesn't feel that way. So don't make her feel like she should be embarrassed because she don't feel beautiful and she doesn't feel smart, like that one little test. The dark look, and I noticed with that little girl with the test, you know, pointing to the different cartoon characters based on the skin complexion, which one is pretty, which one is dumb, which one is smart, which one's ugly. She went to the far end. Who's dumb? The darkest, right? Who's smart? The lightest. Who's ugly? The darkest one. Who's prettier or who's pretty? The lightest one. She didn't even pick the ones in the middle. So I'm like, okay, so yeah, I didn't understand that. The little girl, she was like, either you're really light or you're really dark. The only thing I'm thinking is maybe she is around, you know, mostly black kids, and then the white kids, maybe she might see them every now and again. Maybe their lives are a lot better. I don't know. Or maybe she just lives around dark-skinned people, you know, like in the predominantly black community, and the white people she see on TV. She see in the cereal commercials, she see in the toy commercials, you know, things like that. And she see light-skinned or white kids, fair-skinned kids, looking smarter, happier, prettier. Okay? But yeah, I thought that was interesting too. Like, she didn't pick the ones in the middle. She only picked either the darkest one or the lightest one. But yeah, and you can kind of tell with the young kids, the young girls, they weren't sure how they should answer it, and it's like they're speaking their truth, because you know, kids, they don't lie for the most part. They're speaking their truth, and they feel ashamed that they feel that way. But deep down, that's how they feel. So I know some people, they don't want to dwell on negative feelings. Oh, you know, be proud of who you are, you know, stand up tall, be beautiful, you know, girl power and all this stuff, and black is beautiful. But again, we live in this society. We live amongst a society, as far as the media, that pumps out these images of what they claim they are putting out based on what we want to see or based on what we want to buy and all of that. But it has a huge part. And okay, I'm kind of switching gears here. I'm thinking about this hair commercial, because most hair commercials, in my opinion, are a bunch of massive bogus, because they have someone, usually, if it's a straighter texture or a straighter curl pattern or something like that, it's either someone who has a mixed ancestry or it's weave. It's, you know, it's not their hair, and they bouncing and smiling and stuff, and oh girl, I got it going on. Alright, this one particular, let's see, hair, ethnic hair, shrink. Okay, it was this one lady who she was a main girl, let's just put it that way, in the commercial. And she was, very, sassy with her walk and stuff. And they showed glimpses of other girls with different textures of kinky curly hair, or whatever you want to call it. But this one girl, her hair was very afro looking, and she had dark skin, and she was a main girl. And I was so happy to see that commercial. I was like, finally. I'm getting tired of people saying that a certain curl pattern that's parallel or connected to black people is better than this other curl pattern. Last time I checked, the authentic or organic, as this one guy said in that Black Girls documentary, organic. I like that. He said, in my opinion, organic black, African black sub-Saharan hair is afro. Not curly, kinky, not wavy, afro. That's authentic black hair. So when she came out there strutting her stuff, and she had the dark, beautiful skin, and her hair was an afro, and it was long, it wasn't shrunken. The point is, the commercial is trying to promote a hair product that will stop your hair from shrinking. So whatever natural hairstyle you have, it won't shrink when it dries. And her afro was nice, and it was just, it popped. Let's just put it that way. But the point is, the image that I saw was this proud, beautiful, dark-skinned woman, and she wore her hair natural, and she was loving it. And then they showed glimpses of other textures of hair and different skin tone women who, I guess, self-identify as black as well. And I was like, wow, really? Do we have a real commercial that's promoting real natural curl patterns for the typical, authentic, organic black hair on a woman? What? So I was like, okay, excuse me. But anyway, so yeah, as far as the skin complexion being dark, I was, again, the darkest, and I just didn't feel comfortable with my complexion until, I say, when I went off to college and I met so many beautiful people who were dark skinned. I was like, wow, wow. And I just remember also, it was like, maybe I was home for winter break, my first semester, and my aunt, my daddy's sister, we was chit-chatting or whatever, and I was just telling her about my new friends, and, oh, I got this person, this friend is from, Jamaica, and, oh, this friend, she's from Maine, and, oh, this person is from New York City. And she was like, Jamaica? Is that your boyfriend? I'm like, no, he's not my boyfriend. We're just cool, and he's fun, and da-da-da-da. I like him. She was like, oh, good, because, them Jamaicans are black and ugly. I'm like, first of all, no, I'm not trying to date him. Second of all, if I wanted to date him, then I would. I said, because dark skin does not equate ugly like that. She was like, but that's not what I was saying. I'm just saying the Jamaicans that I've seen, they're, unattractive and really dark skinned. And I was like, there's plenty of beautiful dark skinned people. There's plenty of unattractive light skinned people. And then I didn't want to go off on her, but I had to check her real quick, because I am a darker tone in my family. And I just felt like, okay, here's another jab. Okay, here's another, sly remark. But I nipped it real quick. So, but yeah. And again, I was like maybe 18 at the time. And I just started feeling a little comfortable about my skin and my color and, and all of that. And then here's another jab. So, yeah. And as far as how this documentary kept, comparing it to the white race, I'm kind of over that now, because there's other race in this entire world. There's other ethnicities, there's other cultures, nationalities, blah, blah. Why do we always have to compare black folks, mixed black folks, whatever, minorities, to the white population. I don't understand, why do we always have to compare us to them? So that to me is a broken record. I'm so tired of hearing about white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black. There's other people in this world, people. It's not just white or black. So that was a bit irritating. I did like the fact that they brought that Korean girl for a couple of minutes to talk about her skin complexion. And many Asian cultures, like having really, really pale skin, like a piece of paper white, is looked upon as being beautiful, sexy, desirable. You know, you'll get higher status if your skin is that light. Same thing in India, different cultures there. But primarily in northern Indians have lighter skin and darker than southerner Indians. I would say probably because of the climate. Some people argue that the Indians from the southern part of India are actually descendants from East Africa as well. So they have that African influence as well. That's why their skin is so dark. Now, I don't remember seeing any kinky hair, but whatever. I just want to throw this in there. I went to my friend's house, and I mentioned her once before. She's Indian from her. She's Indian. Her ancestry is from India, but she was born and raised here in the States. But her little girl, who is 1/4 African, her paternal grandmother is from Tanzania. Okay, so she's 1/4 African, but she don't look black. And when I went over to babysit, and they went to Dominican Republic, so they were on vacation, and so they've been back about maybe a week or two. So I was asking her, oh, did you like Dominican Republic? Did you like going to the beach? And she was telling me all about her stuff. And she's like 5 years old, just so you know. And I was like, oh, you have a beautiful tan. I said, the sun has kissed you. She was like, I don't like when the sun kissed me. I was like, oh, here we go. and again, you know, it's a touchy subject, so I didn't want to go too far into it because I think that's her mother's responsibility to let her know that darker skin is okay, but whatever. So I was like, why you don't like when the sun kiss your skin? It's very beautiful. And she was like, because I want my skin to be golden. That's what she said. And to me, I was like, okay, your skin looks golden, but it's a darker tone. But and I was like, well, I think your skin is beautiful. And she's like, well, golden skin is prettier. I said, well, your skin, your tan is pretty. She said, but golden skin is prettier. And I just left it like that. But but she's 5. And she already understands skin complexion. And she, just so you know, is lighter than her mother. Her mother is about maybe a couple of shades lighter than me. So she's lighter than her mother and father. Both her and her brother are really, really pale, in my opinion, very light. But my friend told me stories about her father, who was Indian, and how when he married his wife, which is my friend's mother, you know, he married her because she had light skin. She wasn't skinny, though. So apparently, being that she was kind of chubby, you know, she was able to marry him because he had a little money. And so, long story short, my friend and her siblings, her father always was like big on like marrying someone who had a lighter complexion. Like they had to be Indian, they had to be Hindu, you know, and they also had to have a lighter complexion. But yet he darker than me. His mother is darker than me. When I went to visit years ago, my friend was saying that her grandma thought I was from India. So I'm like, okay. So they got color issues too. This is when I actually was introduced to Indians having color issues within their circles. And again, my friend, she's lighter than me. her sister, her brother, they're all lighter than their father. So I guess that made him happy. But he is darker than me. And he want to make his children, you know, marry lighter, marry lighter, marry lighter. So when she end up getting married to a biracial man, hint hint, black man, he is very light skinned. He's as some people call him, hot yellow. He's very light skinned. So their kids came out looking very light. Like, I don't see no traces of black nowhere. And the point is, Indians have color issues too. It's not a black thing. Let's just put it that way. Indians have issues with color. Some Asians have issues with color. Yeah, it's weird. But we're so caught up in the United States of America and color issues here, we sometimes forget that outside of these, borders, that people in different cultures that have nothing to do with black, that have darker skin for whatever reason, they want their skin lighter, and they have bleaching creams and all that stuff. So, what I also wanted to talk about as far as the review of that documentary is that I would like to hear more about, or less about the beauty aspects of dark skin, and more about the lack of pride in the actual race, if that makes sense. It was a lot had to do with beauty, or people's conception of beauty, or perception, sorry, but less on the pride of the race. Like the one little girl with her mother that was sitting there, she said she don't want to be called black because black equals being ugly. I never felt that way coming up. Like, I never felt like, oh, I don't want to be called black because that means I'm ugly. I think I didn't want to be called black because technically my skin wasn't black. And I've met some black people, like literally their skin is black. But me, I was like, I don't want to be called black because my skin is not black. You can call me brown if you want to talk about color. I don't mind African. I don't mind African American. Whatever. That's how I felt growing up. Now I don't care. If you're looking at my channel, you see I have my name is Black and Indigenous. So I don't really care about that. But when I was coming up, I'm like, I didn't want to be called black because my skin is not black. Plus, we were raised embracing our Native American ancestry as well. So if anything, we wanted to preserve our bloodline with Native America as well. So it was less white talk going on in our family. It was more black and native, Indian blood, stuff like that. So yeah. But a lot of these people, they kept focusing on the white. They kept focusing on white, comparing white and black, white and black. And I guess in my experience, it was less white per se, and more black and Indian, black and native, And then, with the whole Indian thing, I can go on and on and on about that, how some people feel. Like that one lady in the documentary, she had an issue with people in other countries like Dominican Republic or just, Caribbeans or whatever, how they self-identify as being Cuban, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Haitian or whatever, and not the black. Now, it took me a long time to comprehend why they refer to themselves as far as, identifying just with the nationality. They weren't identifying with the race. It took me a long time to wrap that around my brain. Because I'm like, I get mistaken for being Dominican all the time. I get mistaken for being, a darker tone Puerto Rican. I get mistaken for being, da-da-da-da-da. I mean, lately I've been getting the Haitian. I've been getting, I've been mistaken for being from the islands, from the West Indies. And I'm like, and I know I got some West African up in my blood, so why they, refusing to say they have black blood? Okay, you're culturally Dominican, your nationality is Dominican Republic, but you don't want to admit that with your hair and your skin and some of your features don't line up with Africa. Yeah, I don't get that. But out of respect, I'm going to just move on. But what I didn't like about that comment that lady said was, if you got black, then you're black. I don't agree with that. I believe people should acknowledge it and keep it moving. And whatever culture you're in, then that's the culture you're in. But I don't think you should just put everybody in one box and label them black. And I never will agree with that. I never will. So you have people that come to this country who pretty much their culture, their customs, their nationality coming here, let's say it's Cuban or whatever. They're going to put Hispanic. They're not going to put black and then something else. They're going to put Hispanic. You have the Hispanic, regardless of race, and you have Hispanic white. They're probably going to put Hispanic regardless of race because they're looking at it as a culture thing versus a race thing. We in America, the United States of America, we're conditioned to see race, not culture, not ethnicity, as far as tribally in the black community. We're conditioned just to see black. Like I learned something new in this documentary about the snowblow. I'm like, what is that? Snowblow. Your skin is white as snow and your hair can blow and they win. So I was like, oh, okay. As far as the hair thing, my hair is there's different types of hair, and those who don't know, you can look it up, but my hair texture is around a 3B, 3C. I don't know if that will equate me for being in the blow category. I have hair that requires some attention and, a lot of combing to get the kinks out. So I don't know if that will, equate me to the blow category unless I straighten it, right? But anyway, I'm done with this video. I've been blabbering on and on. Overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give this documentary a 9.5. I give it a 9.5 because they keep comparing black folks to white folks. And I'm like, there's a big world out there, people. There's so many different people in this world. Why do we always have to compare ourselves to white people, right? Oh, hold on. That might have been my, yeah. Okay, and then number 2, some people commenting about, oh, if you got some black in you, then you just black. Don't try to put us all in one box. That's what I don't like. It's like you don't respect a person's true, complete identity. You just want to just throw everybody in one box because they have a drop of black blood or they have, whatever. Everybody is not going to be in the same box. I don't know if you want everybody in the same box, so we have a bigger voice, more people, more power, maybe, maybe that's what they want. I mean, I was told a long time ago, when you're dealing with the census records and stuff. Okay, the number calling me again. I'm gonna have to get off. But anyway, that's how I feel about it. Leave your comments and take care. Be blessed. Bye bye.